like I really don't belong. I can't explain it. When I close my eyes, I see a strange reality. Am I dreaming? Or on the edge of remembering? You wake up feeling like you really don't belong. You can't explain it, that when you close your eyes you see familiarity. Are you dreaming? Or on the edge of remembering? Weird new trolling, huh? Good morning. What is this with people trying to get me on Discord or get themselves on my Discord? They don't know how to spell, they don't use proper punctuation, they run on sentences, copy and paste bullshit. It's like, do you think I want you as a fan? Seriously. I mean, I'm not trying to condemn you. I mean, you're obviously only like 12 years old, so kids will be kids. But in the future, consider why somebody would want you to be a fan and what you're being a fan of. That's most important. What are you being a fan of? There's so many stupid cults and crap going on these days. Like, yeah, I'm gonna let a stranger into my private conversations. I don't think so. I would say that I worry about our youth, but the fact is I do not. I do not worry at all about our youth. the directions they're taking, because they're taking all directions. I am watching some amazing young people out there inventing things, breaking records for intelligence and accomplishments at early ages. Like, wow! So there's a lot of good stuff going on. I'm the last person who's going to condemn an entire generation just because some people are afraid of change. I'm more concerned about those people who want to turn us back 150 years ago. You guys are the problem. We are not here to keep going backward. I don't know why people aren't getting this faster when they're younger. Well, actually, when we're young, we usually get it, but our need to please, usually our parents or a peer group, overrides the sense of who we are. You know, when we first were born, it's just like wiped out of us, and you spend the rest of your life trying to figure it out. Who am I? Why am I here? Well, you knew all that when you were born. But everybody since you were born has told you who to be, what to do, how to think, what to think. Not how to think. If you were taught how to think, you wouldn't be in any kind of trouble. People do need to learn how to do critical thinking. It's not an act of rebellion to think before you speak. Although maybe in some circles it is. Don't think. We're afraid of you thinking. Like, I saw for the first time, and I've been voting since 1972. I realize there's lots of people around. In fact, in my own very building where I live, there's lots of people older, been voting longer. I have never seen anything like this, what's going on now in our politics, where there's one person, his reality, we know who we're talking about. The orange one. He who wishes to be dictator and Voldemort. He, in Congress, when somebody from the opposite party that he is representing dared to mention all the criminal indictments he's facing and the fact that he spent the last 4 weeks, pretty much 4 days a week in court, for the crimes that he committed, and you couldn't even say the truth. You couldn't quote facts. They did everything they could to strike it from the record. 2 different people saying, this is what's going on. I mean, you were there. You flew to New York from D.C. to support this guy, even wearing his favorite costume, a blue suit and red tie. So, what do you mean? You can't make a statement about it, and you can't allow it because you don't have time to fact check. It's like, everybody's been fact checking. That's what it's all about. That's what they do in criminal indictments. They check facts before they bring an indictment. So, I mean, not to go into that specifically, it's just that the lack of thinking, the very idea that for saying the truth, the actual factual truth out loud in a public forum that includes people who are supporting the criminal, is like they're trying to make that illegal to protect one crazy man. So we know there's a problem. I think these people have put their careers on the line, and they don't have a choice. Oh, well, that's at least an interesting approach to get me to sign on. I was just condemning the people, making the rush to get people, get themselves into my Discord. The fact is, I don't use Discord, so I appreciate you taking the time to say something so nice, but I don't use Discord. And I've been streaming for 15 years. So, Valuable Fire Author. Well, that's a cool name because I too am an author. And I'm working on my 3rd novel this year. So cool, but no, I still don't use Discord because If you're really into writing, you know, a lot of that energy spent on social media could better be spent doing the shit you really love. And that's pretty much right there sums up my whole digital journey. For 15 years, I've been trying to teach people how to be their own people, how to not spend their fortunes on psychics and political figures. Although that's only been the last 8 years. I've been teaching people to recognize their energy, how they are creating their lives moment by moment, through their feelings, through their emotions, and then through their speech. So, you know, we have to learn to recognize how little time we have on this planet. Everybody dies. And that's not depressing. We come back if we wish. But the point is, we only have a little bit of time here. And humans really need to start looking at the paradigms they've chosen. Actually, you didn't choose anything. You were put wherever you are right now. That's where you are because that's where society wants you to be. Unless you have learned free thinking, in which case you're changing your path to something you desire deliberately, joyfully. And if joy's not leading the way, it's society that's leading the way. There's no great joy in becoming a sheep. But there is joy in community, and there's a difference. Sheep follow. They just follow. They follow wherever the good grass is, and they go wherever the dog tells them to, you know, head toward. Sheep are awesome. I love sheep. I won't make any jokes about my lamb chops. But I do love animals, and I think that we need to respect them more, but also to respect the human animal. We are made, we are built to create societies, but all kinds. We've got choices. You know, that's actually what I write about in a more entertaining form. Through stories, I teach about what we can do, but we don't even recognize what we have been doing, to our own betterment and unfortunately also to our detriment. So for 15 years I've been teaching people this, how to recognize who you are. What do you want to be? Identify yourself instead of through reflecting of other people. Whoever is out there in your world, no matter how awesome they are, no matter how much you love them, you're not here to be them. You're here to discover you. You're here to find out who you are. What do you want? Why did you come here? It took a lot of effort to go through 9 months and be born. It's a lot of effort. It was a lot of risk. You're here. Now that you're here, what the fuck? You just want to spend your entire life playing games? I spent a lot of time playing games. I'm not condemning games. I happen to be completely addicted to SimCity. So I get it. But I also have and make joyfully time every single day to do something I love, to experiment with paint, to write, to play music, not as much as I used to. Arthritis is taking a little of that away, but I don't make that my excuse. It's like, I love to do things, I'm highly creative, I do them, and it keeps me happy. And you can be doing the same thing, if not creating. There are things that make you happy besides sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Those are great things. I'll never condemn sex, definitely. But we do need to know appropriateness, right? Sex in a theater in public is not a really good recommendation from your friend. But sex in privacy with someone you care about is a miracle. So, yeah. I'm not saying don't have fun, I'm saying have fun. Have fun. Stop taking yourself so seriously. Stop taking the world so seriously. What you are experiencing is a reflection of what you have been thinking about the most, and if you don't like what's going on, what have you been thinking about? Where's your brain been? Who are you listening to? Who are you following? How much time do you spend every day all riled up, versus how much time you feel peaceful and loving and kind and wanting to do things for people. So it's really, in the usual synchronistic way for me, the universe constantly provides what I need. Today's conversation was going to be about community, and I was able to magic a lecture given by a Native American who was just talking about how we need to take a good look at the values that we have right now that are destroying the planet. And it is our values. As people have been doing more, surveys, basically surveys of the way we live as humans, every aspect of our reality. Humans are curious about ourselves. We want to know about us. We're constantly even buying books about us. Who are we? What are we? Where are we going? What do we want to do? This is us. This is humans. We want to know. What do you think the James Webb Telescope is out there doing? Picking its nose? It's out there to discover everything it can about us, our universe. How did we end up here? So, in this search for self, we keep forgetting we're here to not just discover, but create. And we are creating through our thoughts. And if our thoughts keep getting caught up with fear, it was said that fear is our greatest enemy. We've got nothing to fear but fear itself. Thank you, Churchill. But that is the truth. That is the bottom line truth. Your being afraid of anything is what holds you back. Fear of being embarrassed, fear of failing, fear of succeeding and being responsible. The fears hold us back. Fear of heights, I don't want to try that. We can come up with a million different fears, and what we can't come up with, don't worry, Fox News people will be able to manufacture to your delight. It'll keep you afraid and angry. Now, anger is another thing. The anger is a step up from being powerless. So anger is actually good when compared to being depressed and feeling completely helpless. Anger actually has a little motivation, energy there. When you're feeling powerless, you're just going to lay down and be somebody's carpet. But when you are feeling angry, you're going to get up and punch somebody, which I'm not recommending. I'm just saying that it's better to get up and face what's coming, and even if it's pissing you off, it's better to be up facing it than laying down on the ground going, no, I don't want to see it. There's been a lot of studies that have been coming to fruition. Studies that have gone for longer than 20 years, longer than 50 years. Studies about what makes people happy, what makes people feel secure. What is it people need? What do we really need as human beings? Also looking now, of course, more sustainable environments, things like that. What do we really need? Well, I know people get all nervous when we use the word China. China has learned a lot. Look at the size of their freaking population. They've had lots of experience in lots of different things. And one of the things that an architect discovered in his study of how to build a sustainable city was what we were finding out through studies in the Mediterranean. Not just about our diet, but about our social connection. That what made people feel overall the happiest at the end of their lives was the feeling of, well, caring about their neighbors, their friends, and number one, their families. They're honored to take care of each other. It's a privilege to have someone there that's 100 years old and you still are keeping them going because your love and devotion makes sure that they're clean and their place is clean and they have food and you feed them if they need that. You're there for them. And they know, they have the security of knowing that you're going to be there for them and there will be other people there for them, and it is a community. They work together, they live together, they're all over each other. Now, a lot of us have gone the other way. We have been doing everything we can to separate ourselves from society. Well, a lot of us discovered during the COVID lockdowns how resilient we can be as humans, but also really started to showcase our need for each other. Still, when you talk to people about their dreams coming true, if they had $1 billion, because $1 million is not very much anymore these days, I guess. A house, if you're really into fancy houses, a house can easily cost you more than $1 million these days, which is freaking mind-boggling, because they were like under $200,000 when I was a young person first learning to look at property values. It's like $100,000 was a lot for a house in the 50s, and it just has gone up there. Now $100,000 is a shack fixer-upper. So yeah, but our values are not really changing as the environment is demanding it that they do. We have crowded cities with people homeless. You would think in one of the richest nations of the world there wouldn't be a single homeless person in this country, and there shouldn't be. We actually have enough money to cover all of that, but that money is tied up, kinda, like in military contracts. Yeah, I know, the more we make the world scary, the more we need weapons against it. And that is unfortunately how the world is operating right now. So that's again right there, it's like we have to look at our values. If more people took a look at what is it we really want, what really makes us happy, it all comes down to very simple things. Most of us, we just want to be able to lay our head down at night on a soft pillow in a comfortable bed and feel like we can safely close our eyes until morning or whenever we get up. Safely sleep. That's what we're after, safe sleep. To be able to sleep well. This is something that is so basic, and yet that is one of the things that wakes us up in the middle of the night. That old primal thing going on, like, is there a snake entering? There's no more snakes, you can close the door. They have to come in through other ways. We find things to scare ourselves with. If there's not enough frightening things in your current reality, then we make up things to jolt our adrenaline. Horror stories, gore, bloody shit. I mean, stuff that I definitely is out of my world, but I know that some people get off on it in different kinds of ways, and it doesn't mean that they're into doing violent things. I wonder what it is that's missing in their chemistry that makes them need these kinds of things. But that's not something I care to explore very deeply. I've got a sweet friend who I think the world of, who is into some stuff that's a little bit more horrifying than I'm willing to see. You know, I don't know details, but more frightening things, let's put it that way. The kind of things I don't want in my very, very active imagination. With my ability to create scenarios, and by the way, every human does it. I do it and I write about it, and a lot of people do, and that's how come we have thousands of books coming out every year now. There is nothing you can think of that there's not a book about now, or a song about. Used to be a song about it. We're complex human beings, but there are some things that are extremely basic to us. We want to feel safe and secure. But our idea of safety and security has come in the vision of more locks on the door, higher walls, traps in the yard, landmines, keep people off my property. This is so counter to how humans are actually built and how we are spiritually. It is the opposite of what we are. We are not about fear. All that stuff comes from fear of something being taken away from us. If we understood that nothing belonged to us in the first place, and yet everything belongs to us, we could start to evolve. We've really, in so many ways, gone backward. At the same time, we've got this whole movement trying to push Christian national shit. That's just Nazism dressed up as, we're going to control you through religion. Everybody has to be the same religion. Well, honey, that's what we broke off England for. England's all about, or it used to be, I don't know if it still is, it's like where you live determines what your religion is. Well, fuck that. We are America. We are a nation of immigrants. We are a nation of every religion, every belief system somewhere on this planet is also located here in this country. There was a practitioner of everything, including worshiping Zeus. We have everything here. That's the whole idea of America, that you can come here and be you. It's freedom. That's the whole concept of being an American. So when we have people trying to cut that off and saying, no, you can't be this. You can be all that, but you can't be this, you can't do that, 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 you cannot be this. No. That's actually anti-Christian and anti-Muslim and anti-Jewish. When you take the core of any real religion, it comes down to your spiritual heart, your connection with divinity. And that is a connection nobody can break, regardless of your beliefs, even if you're an atheist. It's not about your beliefs. It is about you being an energetic wave on the ocean of source. You can't change that. All you can do is return to the ocean of source, and then reach out again as a wave. That's it. That's your choice. So when you're here as a wave of source, you're supposed to enjoy it. But if fear is the path, you keep getting sucked down, you're not going to enjoy it. You're going to spend your life all worried. Worried about this, and worried about that, and worried about yourself, and worried about everybody else, and you're going to try and control everything because of your fear. And that's when you fuck up. You can't control other people. You're not here to control other people. You're not here to dictate to other people. You're here to figure you out, and you will stay busy the rest of your life if that's all you do. But as soon as you start dividing your energy about other people, and especially if you start judging them as being wrong just because they're different, you've lost the thread. You're not understanding why you came here in the first place. You came here to be you. Mind your own business. And that's what we have to do, is learn to mind our own businesses. Now, this is something I teach every week. And I have to say some form of that every week to the same group of people. Because I live in a community, well, actually, I live in a building. And within this building, there is a community of mostly women, and everyone's different and different ages, very large spread of ages, from somebody in their 20s to 97 is our oldest person right now. We have a community of people, and within this community there's all sorts. We have someone that's fairly new, and she is quite the antagonist, and she has elicited a lot of anger and hostility and shouting matches from some of the other residents. Now, I cannot say that sincerely that there is anybody in this building who likes her, but she lives here, and we have to have peace. So when things come up about her and they're brought to me, I'm not like the head mediator, but kind of I am. I haven't had to mediate. I basically end up advising people how to chill and mind their own business. Like, this person can't bother you. They can't get under your skin unless you let them. You have to let them do their own thing, and don't give them food to do it. Don't feed their attitude. If you don't like that behavior, ignore it. And if it's rude directly to you, then speak up. You have to say something like, hey, I didn't like that. That was rude. That was rude. You have the right to say that. That was rude. I didn't like that. Or that wasn't very nice. Throw it back on them. That wasn't nice. People like to think of themselves as being nice, even as they point the finger at everybody else who isn't. So tell them, that wasn't very nice. That will bring a lot of people like, and they're going to feel a little uncomfortable because their inner being knows you're right. But your inner being is that which is connected all the time. That is a little voice. Some people want to call it conscience, but it's more than conscience. It is you, the bigger you. And if you're uncomfortable in your core, that is telling you that what you are thinking about or talking about, your higher self doesn't agree with you. It's saying, no, you're hurting me. That's not a good thing to think. You're feeling discomfort because you're making me uncomfortable. Come up with something better. And so if you start to pay attention to how you feel, you will start to understand more of who you are. And the more time you spend making sure you go back to those good feelings, look, we are going to have reactions to crap going on in the world. I'm not saying it's a great world going on, and we've got a lot of fucked up people, a lot of situations that we need to change, but they're not going to change if everybody is thinking in on them, putting their energy on them when they can't actually do anything about it. So all they're doing is sending interference, energetic interference. Mind your own business. If you cannot take a physical action to change that reality that you're reacting to, then sit down and shut up. Pay attention to the vibrations you can raise, the happiness you can help bring into the world. The world needs it needs that balance. Be the joy side, be the unafraid, be the brave. There are people that are literally sitting on television on Fox News going, be afraid, be very afraid, or be unafraid. Like, boy, what? You mean, when you say be unafraid, that you're not talking about actual fear, you're trying to make a political commentary, and it's not the same. When you take time to be with yourself, a couple minutes twice a day, you will find that you will be more and more inspired, more and more directed, and more opportunities will arise that will be specifically about your goals, your hopes, your dreams, whatever you're able to let in when you drop the fears about it and start contemplating the joys about what you want. The joys. Why do you want something? And that brings me back to the community. One of the problems when people think about getting rich is putting those walls up, getting a giant house. And you think about, I've heard a lot of people who are single, and they've even said, I don't want to live with anybody. But then their dreams include a mansion. Like, what are you going to do? Just rumble around in mansion? How much walking do you do in your own home anyway? What is it you want to do in this mansion? How many rooms do you need to express yourself? I sat down and thought about that. It's like, okay, let's say I have all the money in the world, and just for tax purposes, I need a larger space. Also, I want more art supplies, and also, I want a baby grand, or maybe even a grand piano, and also, I want an arboretum. Okay, so I started growing my mansion, but it still came down to one room for music, one room for my writing and my library, a living room if I decide to entertain guests with a fireplace, but it's also cozy if it's just me. And then the music, writing, and of course an art studio. And okay, so that's 3 hobbies, 3 rooms devoted to them, plus an arboretum, a nice kitchen, a decent living room, and of course the requisite bathrooms attached to a bedroom. But still, it's not a mansion. It's still a large house. And if I was a millionaire, billionaire, well, definitely more than a millionaire. If I was a billionaire or multi-millionaire, I could see myself getting a larger home, but I'd also have to hire people. I don't have the strength anymore or desire to clean a large house. So a lot of our dreams we think we have are really automatic. We just associate things like, oh, if you're rich, you must want this. Well, You know, there's a multi-millionaire, maybe even a billionaire by now, I'm going to assume. This woman, she's actually like a financial advisor. She lives in New York City in a walk-up apartment. She loves her apartment so much, she's willing to still, after all these years, walk up and not move to a place that has an elevator, which would be a substantial savings of energy, especially when you're carrying groceries. But she doesn't see any reason why just having money justifies spending a fortune on rent or going all out on a new wardrobe when she's perfectly happy and comfortable with what she's got. She's very down to earth. And yes, that gives her more money to do other things with, so she can afford to be charitable. And she can hire people for problem solving, whatever she can't figure out on her own. She's a brilliant woman, but she's got her priorities, her values. She's living a life based on her actual values. So in order for society to improve, not just society but the entire world, we need to look at our values. What is it that we actually value? Our privacy or community? It makes a difference on where you're going to land, and also how you spend your time and money. I love being part of a community, but there are problems that come in a community that's not actually connected, like on Sardinia, where on the island everybody is related. Not everybody, but many people are related, and they're all taking care of each other, and it's different. Here, nobody's related. Everybody's a single person in an apartment by themselves. Almost. There's a few families around, but most of the people here, especially the ones involved in the community right now, are alone in their apartments. So, of course, their concerns and desires are way different from someone a fourth of their age. Still, it kind of saddens me to think about how many people still see having money as something to isolate themselves with instead of connecting them with the community. I'm also very thrilled to see rich people, bona fide millionaires, who are doing good. They have a company. They live. This is one guy on YouTube. I love him. He goes around Mexico and border towns, and he sees people. He meets people. He gives them basically morality and humanity tests. And then when he finds someone who is genuine, loving, caring, kind, but poor as dirt, he wants to see how he can help them, more than just handing a few $100s to give them some temporary respite from their issues, but how can he genuinely assist them? And he ends up talking them into them taking him to their home and seeing their circumstances. And on the way walking, you know, no fancy cars or anything. He's walking, acting the humble man that he is, despite his wealth. And he gets to know the person even more. And on the way, he's deciding, this person needs a leg up. I can help change their entire life, make a good life for him, and turns out the granddaughter he's been trying to take care of. I mean, he just finds these people. So I love when people, they do this. They show that you can change a life. You don't have to be a billionaire. You just have to have a good sense of humanity and being part of it. And that is part of the paradigm we need to go back to. We did have this. It used to be called being Christian. I'm not raised in Christianity. I've known lots of them. But I have also studied the Bible with Christians. And the people that are calling themselves Christians these days are not Christian. If you're calling yourself a Christian while screaming about illegal immigration, and if you're trying to cut off Social Security, and you're trying to make life difficult, not easier on the poor, if you are seeing the homeless as a problem just to sweep under the rug, or a challenge to cure, what difference? You know, that's your conscience, that's your spirit. What are you doing? You know, you have options. You can do things differently. I would love to see more people talking about when I become a millionaire or when I win the lottery, I'm going to help the homeless. I'm going to see what I can do, like what Finland is doing. Places all over the world that are doing more for the homeless than this country is for our own people. So it's an interesting issue, but again, it comes down to recognizing what we really are, what we really need. We need to be useful. We feel best when we are helping people. You know that when you give someone a hand out of just the moment, right? You're moved to help somebody, anybody, a child, an adult. You always feel better afterward, even if there wasn't anything but a thank you. You just feel better when you act, when you're moved to that, you do it, you feel good. And that's how we're all built. So we need more opportunities, more invitations, more pushing perhaps, to get people out there and recognize that, you know, most of the people that are living in the street are not mentally ill. They are people that were in what we would call middle class, who had a little too much debt and then they couldn't pay their mortgage or their rent and they ended up evicted. They're living in their car and then they couldn't keep their car anymore. This is reality. This is how close to the edge so many people in this country live. So it's not necessarily some stranger, it's your neighbor. It's an old neighbor, it's someone that could have been your relative. They're out there and they need help. And we're just looking at it as, ew, they're making a mess. Well, you know what? When people are just left to themselves and it's clear society doesn't give a shit, and people walk by and spit on them, or that nice Republican young man going out and giving out phony money, counterfeit money, so that the poor, the homeless, would spend it and get arrested for spending, for having fake money. Wow! What a Christian there. So we can help the world as individuals simply by getting more in touch with what makes us feel good, what makes us happy, what does we really need, what does we really want. You can't save a lot of money because a lot of money isn't anything, it's just energy. And if you are constantly thinking like, whoa, well, my life sucks because I don't have a lot of money, you will never have a lot of money. You're focused on not having. Well, I think that was interesting. I don't know what I would call it, or even keep. But when I make things I'm not crazy about, they become postcards. So there's never a loss. This one was a disaster. I used plastic wrap because I didn't have anything else at the time to pull the paint down. And the idea of the plastic is that it's transparent, so you can see where the paint is and how the colors are blending. But the plastic wrap turned out, it just sucked all the color right off the canvas. And when I tried to bring the black down, more mess. So I blew out what I could, but we started getting some mud. I mean, it's not actual mud. It's just we got gray where I really didn't want gray. Yeah, I just wanted it to be just the white and the colors moving out, but it blended too much and got blah. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this. It can always be a background for something, I suppose. It does look kind of like I could turn that into kind of like a haunted landscape. We might use it for that. Alright, I'll just leave that aside with another one I haven't gone anywhere with. And this one, I like it. I'm not thrilled about it, but the ink, I mean, the paint did do some really interesting stuff. It made these little dots on its own. on both the black and the yellow, and that just was really cool. I mean, I don't know how well you can see some of these things because of the reflection and all that, but yep, sorry. All right, well, let's not waste time. Let's get more. Also, I did bring 3 decks to the table today in case anybody was interested because it's Sunday and it's a holiday weekend. So we've got Trust Your Vibes, the Teachings of Abraham Well-Being cards, and one of my favorites, the answer is simple, because it actually is. So we do offer those today. Now for the first 13 years of doing streaming, which we used to call broadcasting, I did cards and life coaching, but and teaching about energy and everything else I teach about. But I lost a lot of my books over the course of 6 moves, and mildew from a lot of books being stuck in the basement. But some, I kept a handful with me in my room at all times, so it was safe from mildew. So I've got a few, but I used to always keep a stack of books to recommend, just to give people introductions to things like Energy Medicine by Donna Eden, Hands of Light by Barbara Brennan, and also some practical stuff like the Trigger Point Therapy book, because we suffer so much and spend so much going to doctors when a lot of stuff can be taken care of with a cane or a rubber ball stuck in the muscle and trigger point and breaking up that connection. So a lot of self-help on every different level that would come up on my show. I see one of the things I saved was the trilogy, the Emmanuel books. The Emmanuel's book is the first one, and they ended up doing Emmanuel's book 2 and 3. For people who are afraid of death, most particularly, I recommend the trilogy. Emmanuel actually spoke to my mother. Now my mom she started hearing Emmanuel a few years before she passed away. And she was dismissed by doctors, but my sister did not. My sister knew the books. My mother never read the books. But after she had said, I've been talking to Emmanuel, because we were talking to her, I was saying, Mom, you know, dementia has a dead end, we know that, so, you know, this and that. I mean, we talked about life and things like that. And a few times she said, yeah, Emmanuel and I were talking about that. I was like, oh, you've been talking with Emmanuel? And she said, yeah, Emmanuel said the same thing you just said. And then my sister validated. My sister was there. She said, yeah, she's talking to Emmanuel. So I started reading her Emmanuel's book. But she's not really very interested because she's talking with Emmanuel. She doesn't need the books. So it's like, all right, Mom was at peace a few years before she had, you know, a final stroke. So, yeah, if you're afraid of dying, Emmanuel's books are very peaceful. But if you are, like, you really want, like, case stories about what goes on when we're not embodied, you might want to check out Journey of Souls by Michael Newton. And he did 2 books. I'd recommend just the first. The second one's all right. But he lost sight at the very end of it of the truth, you know. We're not here to condemn each other, and we go through the different things that make progress more difficult, like addiction. Addiction in itself is not the big deal. It's when you have an addiction that causes you to become incapable of reaching other goals. Lots of people are actually addicted to lots of things, and they still work and do their stuff and can be very happy. But like, you know, cigarettes, they're going to kill you or not. But the problem is, we know it's bad for your health, but it is very addictive. Um, it's not a spiritual issue if your body is addicted. If you are so addicted that you don't get anything done, that your whole world is all about making sure you have your next cigarette, that's a problem. So, not that you're going to be like when you cross over, as we say, when you return to source, you're not given any kind of shit about your past. Your past is something for you to heal if you need to, but you don't have to. All that stuff is done on the other side. While you're here, if you owe somebody an apology, apologize. And any other unkindness that you can think about to correct in some way or ask forgiveness, even if not directly or even if the person is crossed over, just to let it off your chest. You shouldn't carry anything around, because when you drop your mortal shell, you drop all of its concerns. You don't worry about it. You're not going to have to worry about it. That was a book. It was stuck to the bottom of this and fell off as I moved. That was loud. Okay. So what do we have here? So I used mulberry paper, what they call a raw paper. Hey, how are you doing? I am doing great. I was just about to say that I used outdoor Mod Podge, which I've had for many years. I couldn't believe it was still workable. But it also is still a little bit tacky. It's taking a long time to dry. I seem to recall that about Mod Podge. I stopped using it years ago, and I only bought the outdoor stuff because I was doing these little, you know, my little rock houses. And because I wanted to put them outdoors for photographs among the moss and twigs and tree roots. So I thought this would be better. I'm really disappointed in it though, because I don't want to turn it over and start working on this side and do a bunch of paint, only if, like this turns out it never dries. So I'm gonna just put it over there and let it continue to dry. Hopefully, this is just one coat. We'll not be doing a second. What I might end up doing is covering it all with a piece of felt at some point, because it's meant to hang up on a wall, and I don't want this sticking to a wall. You know, people have been saying that. The problem is I have my gain way up. I can't, if I turn it up anymore and I do a, you know, like when I see a bug, it can become piercing. Oh, good. Yeah, well, I guess if I sat down, it'd be better, but right now I've got this. Also, I had to turn the air conditioner on today, so that's a drag. All right, I'm going to go get a canvas. Alrighty, so how are you? Do you have a long weekend? Hey, I sold a painting my opening night. I hope I sell something this weekend. It's my last week in the gallery. Oh, okay. This is Memorial Day here in the States. Well, tomorrow's the actual Memorial Day, but they gave people a 4-day weekend. They gave Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Apparently my heart doctor also has a long weekend. Luckily, I have other things to keep my blood pressure low. I'm waiting for a blood pressure medicine. Oh, of course not. Well, here it is. Memorial Day weekend is the official opening of the beaches. It's the official beginning of summer. In Australia, in most places, it feels like summer all year. Don't you have a place in Australia where people actually can go skiing? Or am I mistaken? Which is not unusual. Yeah, I would have to live where there's snow. Not because I love snow, but because I can't handle the heat. Oh yeah, let's try that. Oh. Can you live on those mountains? Or is it only you visit to pay a fortune and then you have to go home? Because here in America, it's also way more expensive. I had a couple of ski lessons when I was a kid, and I did enjoy it, even though I hurt myself. I did enjoy it, and I wanted to go back, but my family could not afford it. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that. Australia has a few things I think are the worst. Only beatable by the Middle East. Some of your critters I don't want to ever run into. But you also have the best opals in the world. I don't mind that. Huh, maybe I should go ahead and just put that one piece on. Yeah. Well, you know, one of the things about getting older and having a little teeny black part, where the hell did that come from? Oh, I have to keep it. Let's see where I can put it. I don't know what that's made of, but I think we'll make that. Oh, I love that texture. I think I'll put this in my signature. nobody but me will know about it. Well, and you. Spider, snakes, and crocs. Well, the thing is, our spiders are not as big or as bad as what you get. Although we do have tarantula in the desert. I am afraid of our own stuff too. We had 2 deadly snakes that lived in our backyard in North Carolina. If we lived closer to the coast, it would have been 3. Luckily, we just had rattlesnakes and copperheads. And one of my dogs got bit by a copperhead. So I do know firsthand the damage a snake can do. Yeah, and you know, see, that's it. See, all that wildlife that we have, most of it runs away from humans, and it's usually the part of a stupid human getting in their territory, or thinking they can take selfies with them, or blah blah blah. I mean, most of the deaths that have happened to people from wildlife is their own stupid fault. You know, like in Yellowstone, people are told all the time, stay away from the bear, stay away from the moose, and the elk, and to stay away from the things that are alive out there. And still, what idiot goes up and thinks that she can pet a moose, you know? Well, that's true. But I'd have better luck kicking away a cougar than I would a kangaroo. I mean, a kangaroo can beat the shit out of you and kill you. It'll kill your dog. I mean, if they're getting aggressive. But yeah, I don't walk around afraid of kangaroos. We don't have those here. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff I'm afraid of in this country, and I won't go where they are. Well, see, isn't that funny? Yeah. I love that we do not have the camel spiders of the Middle East. I find that the scariest thing I've ever seen. See, we have, and I think this is becoming universal, because of YouTube and all that, where people interact with wild creatures, successfully and happily even, people are getting the impression that things are less dangerous than they really can be. Like raccoons. I love raccoons, but thanks to hunters in the Carolinas and Tennessee, crazy hunters imported rabid raccoons into the Carolinas after they'd been completely rid of rabies. They brought rabies back in. So rabies is something to consider, you know, when you see a lot of wildlife. I'd worry about that. Some things are not affected by rabies, but they can carry it. So I love raccoons, but people are cautioned. Don't get too involved with raccoons. They can hurt you. They can kill your dog very easily. So you want to be careful about those kinds of things. And when they imported them, these hunters didn't import them to just kill them. Well, they did. They imported them to kill them, but they also imported them to torture them. So, you know, it wasn't a cool thing to do. Obviously, these people who did this were not very smart. But they'd raised all these expensive dogs, and they couldn't sell those dogs unless they had raccoons for those dogs to hunt. Like, keep animal testing going because of those poor people raising rabbits. People can be very stupid. But like I was saying earlier, we've got stupid people, we've also got some awesome smart. And I cannot condemn humanity just because we are very We come in quite a variety. That's why we're here. For variety. Who wants the same dinner every day? Well, thank you, sweetheart. You have a good rest. Sweet dreams be yours, dear, if dreams there be. I can't sing any more of that because it's copyright infringement. I hope to see you again next Sunday. Oh, well, thank you. Well, I like singing. I don't have the breath I had, but I do love singing. Oh, have you never heard my opening number? The music I use on the show is me, because it's the only thing I can play that's zero copyright liability, since I own the copyrights. Even though I could have done better if I was able to have time to do more takes, I still am happy with the way they came out. Do you want me to play it? I can play it for you while you go off to dreamland, while I go and get clean water. Alright, I'll put it on and I'll go get my water. It's called The Edge of Remembering, and I wrote it for my first book, The Edge of Remembering.
I really don't belong. I can't explain it. When I close my eyes, I see a strange reality. Am I dreaming? Or on the edge of remembering? You wake up feeling like you really don't belong. You can't explain it, that when you close your eyes you see familiarity. Are you dreaming, or on the edge of remembering?
Thank you. I am fond of that song. And because it is referring to, well, it's being sung by Galen, and it's about reincarnation. Thank you. Totally in line with the story of a dragon being turned into an infant human, looking like a human, sent to Earth for her own safety, while the other dragons were going to take care of the problem at hand. Only the problem got worse and they couldn't rescue her, and she grew up as a human, or believing she was a human among humans, until finally she was able to return. But, yeah, I love that song. Of course I should, I wrote it, you know. I know it sounds terribly immodest, but I've written a lot of songs, and that's, I mean, not a lot compared to famous people, but for the time, it's still like my favorite song. But actually, I didn't have an instrumental. That is my number one favorite. But it doesn't actually have a title. It's called Song Number 8. Number 8 doesn't have a real good number. Have a great night's sleep. Thanks for hanging out, and thanks for listening. All right, Charlie, you're back. Welcome. So how is the weekend going now? There's a lot of gold at the bottom of this cup. So I get the extra water off and put gold down. I use my gadget to watch a TV show in bed. All right. I did not look up the gadget because I got caught up in my SimCity contest challenges, and I fell asleep while working on them. Gold is looking good. A little more. Do I know what I'm doing? No. No, I do not. No, the city never sleeps. It's always doing something. See, this is SimCity has these seasons that last. They used to last like a couple months, but now they're greedy because you pay $9 for the full season gold pass, which of course you want because you want to compete better. But instead of it being like every couple of months, it's now like every 27 days, which pisses me off. It's now like a short February. So at the end, the last week of the contests, all things are double points, which helps you reach your goals faster in case you are not keeping up with contests and you want to still win your prizes. Now, the thing is that this season, the last season, the season before, they're just like rotating most of the stuff I already have, with the occasional new thing. So I'm waiting for a new season, which will happen in, I don't know, 3 days or something. It depends. But anyway, the last week, being double points, gives my small club a chance to win the top prize, which gives us all like 50 sim bucks or something. Right? That's how it felt. That's how it felt. It's like, what are you guys doing? This is bullshit. You're just making it more and more expensive to be able to compete. You don't need money to play the game. You can play it for free. It just takes a real long time for you to grow and get things you want. But I did play the slow way for the first, I don't know, couple of years. And then I discovered the seasons. I was afraid to participate in them, and then finally it was like, all right, let's do this. And it was so much fun. I just have continued, and then the person who was president of the club, she needed to leave, and she gave it to me to be the president. So since then, I've been a lousy president. No, I think of myself as a decent leader. It's just that we all like to just play our game, and we don't want to be seriously competitive, like against other clubs or anything. We just want peace and quiet to play and create. But I think we're all getting, like all of us are high level, and we're getting kind of tired of things being repeated because you don't know it until you have purchased into it. And then when you purchased into it, you go, are you kidding me? That's not how I like to start a new season. With an, are you kidding me? Now, if I was a strategic president, I would just bring in a bunch of new clubs while they're still enthusiastic about playing, before they realize they're going to get sucked dry unless they're seriously committed to the game. And just use them to further our desires, and then when they get bored and they quit, it's like, okay, no big deal. But that's not me. I try to make our club something we all enjoy coming to and greeting each other every morning and all. Yeah, I am. I'm the president of a SimCity club called Symbiotic. Or Symbiotic. Oh yeah, they got a chat, they got a global sales place. We all sell our stuff that we make to make money, and it's a city that is now able to connect with other cities. When they first invented the game, we had make-believe connections to other cities, but no ability to actually connect with anybody. And they tried making it go like live online where you could connect, but it still wasn't working. It was just the servers were overloaded, and they finally just gave up on that, I think, and we became SimCity Mobile. And I had played the game since it was invented in the 80s, 90s, I mean, no, 80s. When was I divorced? Anyway, right after my first divorce, and I was living on my own, my little friends from the comic book store turned me on to the game. It was my first really big game, and I just freaking fell in love with it. They got me all the updates, which came out in disc at that time. And yeah, that was the first, that's how I got introduced to any kind of gaming, other than the original stuff that they had for games, which was not all that great. I guess this is going to really have to dry up a lot before I decide if I like it or not. Because all the stuff that's supposed to be clear right now is kind of cloudy white. So we're going to put this away. Me too. I want you to see what yesterday's project looks like now that it's been greased up. I like it, but it's just not happening. It's like, so which way is up? Which way? It doesn't make sense. Of course, this could be kind of like a cosmic bug of some kind, and these are all the legs, and that's the strange head, this very strange feeding apparatus. Ew. Definitely not what I had in mind. I wasn't thinking any kind of bugs. Although subconsciously my desire to get rid of the stink bugs that keep coming in might be there. Okay, so what I liked about this was I did get the colors I wanted in, lots of colors. What I didn't like was when I brought the plastic down, it took off too much color. I want to try again, only doing better. So, let's give it some clear first. All my stuff keep going through. Well, I did not plan this out, so I better move. I better move it fast. We got the red. I'm gonna have to fill these up again. Holy moly. Let's get some of this lighter gold. Nope, oh, wrong one. Ooh, that one. Oh, come on, you've got to have more in there. Damn. I guess we got a plug here. I don't have a plug. Yeah, that's way down there. Did we get it? I don't know. Ouch. You're not the one I want. It had some juice in it. It's the purple I wanted. I think we got the same problem. Let's take care of this. That is a plug. A plug. That's better. I'm gonna have to fix that up. Such a great color. I used to hate this color actually, because in watercolors it seemed like all it did was get grainy. But in acrylic, it's just been a beautiful blending color. gotta fill all these little suckers up. Now, I think I ordered some more of these, but I'm not sure now. I got sidetracked by something else. I'm always looking for these bottles. Oh, let's try some of this. Did. Do it too. Come on. My pliers. There we go. Plug out of there. This stuff is so elastic. It dried down the entire tube. Alright, let's try this again. We don't want this clear. Come on, I think it did better. Using that as my base. Now I'm hoping that this is going to make the colors illuminate a little bit more. Or look illuminated a little more. Okay. So what we want is for this to cover everything. It needs to smoosh around a little without me bringing the color all the way down, because we're going to do that with the black, and I don't want to drag all the paint off the canvas like we did yesterday with some premature blending. These colors are going to be awesome. Get this right. This is going to get way messier. So before I start going too crazy, I'm going to put gloves on because I've already done damage, eh? Box of gloves, come here. Okay, don't give me a hard time, just come in. Thank you. Oh, these are really jammed in that box. see how messy the gloves are gonna get. Alright, there we go. I keep saying alright like I'm getting ready to already do something. Charlie, are you back yet? Because this is the fun part. Well, actually, I enjoy all the parts, but this is the, let's see what we've got bit. So first we look like we were really ruining it with a bunch of black. And it's like, oh my god. It's like already running down there. Good for you. I'm gonna drag you right off. Alright, here we go. Now please, behave yourself and do it the way it should go. Make it beautiful. There. Now, ooh, explosion of color. Oh, good. I didn't want you to miss this mess. I spend a good deal of my day doing that. Oh. Wow. Yes, this is the hyperventilation part. I get a free buzz. Of course, as I'm doing it, things are drying, so you only have a limited amount of time to get messy. So which way do I want this to lean? That away? We've got our puddle of paint right there. Like I said, this is going to get very messy. Very, very messy. We're still getting messy. As we move off more excess paint. I'll also use some of that excess paint to the edges. Back to the original one. Can you see it? I will get another piece of clean because we have more coming off this. I like this better than yesterday's. That's yesterday's, even though it's got the dramatic red middle. It's just not doing anything for me the way this is. Now we've got more landscapey kinds of effects. Mountains and water and darkness. Ooh. This is actually one of the things they recommend for strengthening your lungs. Like when you're getting over a pneumonia, bronchitis, things like that. It's a couple minutes periodically through the day. I am dizzy from it. Of breathing into a tube or through a straw, or playing a kazoo, for that matter. It gives you resistance when you're blowing out, and that's where you build up the muscles, basically, for your lungs. Because you're not supposed to pass out. So, watch that. So what did you watch? Oh, it's after 12. Hello, viewers. Oh, I'm supposed to have lunch now. Okay, I will move this away. The Mentalist. Oh, I heard of that. I don't remember shit about it, but I do remember hearing it. Okay. Okay, I'm going to move this away so it can finish its thing. And after lunch, we'll get to see. Although, you know what? I could do some silicone work. Oh, no kidding. Well, that must have been enjoyable. Let's go ahead and take a little bit of this silicone. Now that the paint is dried in there, hopefully it'll make a better seal. Oh, well, you know. All right, I can sit down for this. Which is preferred. All right, so making a landscape. I'm gonna start down here. Now, I don't know how much it's going to open up. Paint's kind of thick there. But I see a little movement now. besides spinning in a circle. Ooh. Some of it's opening up. Cool. Now, see how white those spots are? That's the reason to paint the canvas before you start something like this, because it's going to bring it right down to the canvas color. So it's got a good side and bad side with that. It's working. Ah, good. Escapism after a day of study is good, but you're on vacation. Give your brain a rest. Entertain it. Alright. I'm afraid to use too much of this stuff. You do need to remove it afterward. Yeah, it's not separating as much as I wanted it to, but we are getting some reactions. So this is good. Well, it brought some of the gold to the surface, which is what I wanted. But, you know, was hoping it would come to the surface on its own. All right. I have another idea, but not yet. I'm gonna go ahead and get another canvas, get it ready for after lunch. Let's see what we've got. I want a vermilion, a rose vermilion, a dark vermilion. Pink. Okay. Yep, don't you do that. I don't want your pen, another painting. Ooh, a little more than I planned. Okay. I'll need a, what do you call it? A palette. All right. Get the extra stuff off. I'm almost ready to buy one of those little dryers. All right. The next stage of that is going to involve black, but not in the way you think. In the meantime, we're getting a bunch of cells forming on their own. No medium has been added, it's just water. Maybe a little bit more, please. Move around a little more. It's see the canvas coming through. I may have to actually do 2 coats. I was trying to avoid that. It's gonna go on next, actually, if this does not require a second coat. It's going to be covered with a bed of clear after everything is dry. With clear and then black in the center that will get blown out to the sides. And now that I got that all over me. Okay, I think I've become one with my art today. I have to wash that off now. I'll be back after lunch. This is Sunday. It is I love to paint on Sundays. I will go make myself food. I will make some nice food and be back. Probably about an hour, hour and a half is usually what I take on Sunday afternoons. And that gives me time to clean up and everything and come back to it. So, and we'll see how much this does on its own. If just left to its own, not doing what I planned, but doing something. And wherever metallic stuff is involved, it always ends up kind of pretty. I have to start doing these as backgrounds. So anyway, yeah, enjoy whatever you're doing. I'll be back.